On Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, Open Meeting Law, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 155 of the Code of the Town of Eastham, Eastham Wetlands Protection Bylaw. This meeting is being broadcast on Public Access Channel 8 and streamed on the town website at www.eastham-ma.org and on YouTube. It will be rebroadcast on Channel 8 and meeting videos can be found on YouTube. Before we begin, a quick reminder. While our meetings are relatively informal, the Commission uses a simplified version of Robert's Rules. The chair runs the meeting and everyone should speak through the chair after being recognized. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. We allow discussion between commissioners, staff, and applicants and may extend that to abutters. For NOIs and RDAs, the applicant will present first, followed by discussion with the commission and staff. Once commissioners' questions have slowed, abutters will have a chance to speak, followed by other members of the public as time allows. The chair may set time limits if needed. Please keep your microphone muted unless it's your turn to speak, and let the chair know if you plan to record the meeting. Most importantly, please be respectful of others so that we can keep the meeting productive and focused. Before I begin, I will take attendance. Janet Benjamin.
Here.
Joanne Cossett.
Here.
Greg Douglas.
Here.
Chuck Wagner.
Here.
And Karen Strauss. I am here. Okay, first on our agenda is an opportunity for public comment. If any member of the public wishes to speak about something not on the agenda, please let me know. Okay, seeing no hands. First up tonight is request for determination of applicability filed by Stephen and Maryalyce Henning. Applicant proposes to replace a septic system and construct a garage at property located at 420 Steele Road, map 04, parcel 122A. And is somebody here to speak on this?
Yes, good evening, Madam Chairman. I'm Dave Bennett from Sure Things Environmental, and I'm representing the project for Stephen and Maryalyce Henning, which are in the audience, and I'd ask that they be promoted to panelists if they care to speak to the matter.
Well, all they have to do is raise their hand and unmute when I call on them and they can speak.
Okay. Fair enough. So what we have in front of you today is the upgrade of a septic system to full compliance with Title V as a result of communications at the July 31st Board of Health meeting and communications with Alex, the conservation agent. We have offered a revised plan, which I believe that he has shared with you or can share with you this evening. This is an upgrade of a septic system, as well as the construction of a garage area for the Henning storage. They have a very small cottage without any storage space, and Mr. Henning has a sailboat, a motorcycle, and several cars. He wishes to build this on the property in order to get additional storage area. It's non-habitable space. He will be moving his washer dryer to there, so there is a water service and a sewer line connection to the new septic system. This project, with the exception of access to the site, is outside the land subject to flooding, but falls within the 100-foot buffer zone under the Eastham Wetlands regulation. So we have provided mitigation with regards to restorative planting. In the new plan, we have actually included more plantings on the side of the garage, in addition to the replacement of 4 trees along the would be the eastern property line. I'm not sure if Alex can share that with you, or if you'd like, I can attempt to show you the revised plan.
Alex, are you available?
Yeah, I think it might be easiest if Mr. Bennett could share his screen with the commission, if that's all right.
Okay, Wayne, if you could give him co-host permission.
All right, can all the commissioners see that now?
We're seeing a blank screen that tells us you started screen sharing. So if you exit out and make sure that, yeah, there you go.
Okay, so this, you should be looking at the plan that is revision date of 8/11. This reflects those comments that we heard from the Board of Health. We've added a innovative alternative septic component for denitrification. And as you can see that we've enhanced the restorative planting through the planting along the sides of the garage in addition to the tupelo trees or equivalent that run along the eastern property line. This project will require the removal of 2 of 4 trees for the installation of the septic system to prevent root infiltration, and 2 other trees that one falls within the footprint of the proposed garage. The other is within the turning radius of the driveway, which is through an easement where they need to be able to turn around.
Okay, are you ready for questions?
Yes, if you have any, I'm sorry, if you have any questions, please, I'd like to answer them.
Okay, in your application, you said you were moving the shed. Does this current plan show where the shed is going to be placed?
Shed to be removed or relocated. It is not on a foundation, so I am not certain if the client wishes to remove it or relocate it. I assume that if there was a relocation, um, it would not be on top of the septic system. I would think it would be south of the existing dwelling, which would fall outside the land subject to flooding, but certainly within the buffer zone.
Right. Usually we like to have all of those details nailed down when we issue the permit. Um, okay, so let me see, maybe you could drop that from the screen for now. And
Yes.
I'll see if anybody who was out on site visits this morning has any comments. I know, Greg, you were out this morning. Yeah. Anything?
There we go. I'm sorry. Yes, it was, everything was marked. It was pretty clear where the garage was going to go and the septic system was going to go. There's 3 trees that need to be removed. And a couple questions. What were the kind of plants that you were going to, you just added? I'm sorry, I might have missed it, but what were the bushes?
What we were using is we took a look at the plant list, and certainly we've made suggestions, but they are low lying. They are shrubs: arrowwood, viburnum, and clethra. And I use those because of the assumption that these would still be under canopy. They would still be in an area that is relatively, close to the flood zone. And so the proximity of water is not that great on this lot, especially in that lower elevation. So I had made those 3 suggestions so that they would be, full-size shrubs. I've planted them at spacing so that they could occupy the space in between, at 5-foot spacing, 1-gallon containers, which would grow pretty rapidly. And then tupelo trees, again, I wanted to use the tupelo trees because of the habitat that they're in, and I think that they would thrive in that location.
Thank you. And what kind of grass mix were you planning on using?
The standard conservation mix that is specified, on other projects to stabilize the ground after the construction activities are done. This is most
One last question. I'm sorry.
certainly.
One last question. There's no septic being connected to the garage. I didn't see anything. So the septic system is not being connected to the garage, just the house, right?
No, there is going to be laundry moved into the garage because it's currently in the cottage. That's going to be put in the garage, so it has a water service and it has a septic connection. They also would like to put a bathroom in there so that when he's working in there, he doesn't have to go into the house to relieve himself. But yes, there is a connection, the electric, water, and the sewer.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions from Janet, Joanne?
Nope.
Chuck?
Nope.
No. Janet, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to see those items put on the plan. That is a surprise. And we had no knowledge of that this morning. Also, you're removing 2 trees that are really healthy. I didn't see that the one in the driveway would really cause a big problem. I was wondering if you could move the garage from where you plan to move it. I assume you don't want to move it into the ACEC, which is where the present driveway is. But could the garage be moved farther to the left than where you have it now?
The zoning issues that you're speaking to and the reason why it's located where it is that the height of the garage dictates the setbacks. And so therefore it's located to meet those setbacks, but it is a relatively small site. It does meet the requirements for lot coverage, or it's under the requirements for maximum lot coverage. The tree that you speak to in the driveway would be right in front of the door. I think it's within 5 feet of the front doorway for this 2-car garage. Now, there was a copy, I believe, of the garage that was part of the submittal. I know it was part of the Board of Health submittal. And the plan that you have in your file, plus this revised plan, does show the septic connection and the water connection. So nothing has been hidden. There has been a lot of scrutiny about the garage. And quite frankly, it is the driver for the nitrogen reduction system that was here. Normally, this was previously approved by the commission under an RDA in 2014. At that time, the septic system was not upgraded. And so now we are prepared to upgrade with the Title V IA, or the general use IA system, the Vantex AX20. So nothing has been misrepresented or otherwise here. And I think that the location of the garage is a feature of zoning requirements and setbacks, and that the tree that's in the front and the tree that's in the footprint would have to be removed in order to accomplish the project.
Okay.
Any other questions? Alex, anything from you?
No, nothing from me. Thank you.
Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve with a positive 2A, a negative 3, and special conditions for septics for the plan dated August 11th, 2025.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Joanne?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, next we have an
Thank you.
after the fact. Next, we have an after the fact request for determination of applicability filed by Michael and Alison Gerrity. Applicant proposes to remove and replace outdoor shower, remove and replace back deck, remove concrete blocks and add a paver landing, create a transition walkway from the driveway to the rear deck steps, remove concrete steps and timbers and replace with bluestone steps, tied 3 gutters into dry wells, top dress driveway with filter fabric and native crushed stone, and trim shrubs at property located at 65 Harms Way, map 10, parcel 100. Okay, who's here to speak on that?
I'm on, Michael Gerrity, and I'm sorry, I'm in the car, otherwise I have my video on. And then I believe Jim Gorman is on also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there?
I'm sorry, Jim Gorman, I'm here as well.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to tell us more about this before we discuss?
Well, this is a project that I guess it's been probably 6 weeks ago or so. Mike had bought the property. I mean, he'll tell you in more detail. I know he's driving, so I'll try to help him out here. They bought the property. I think it's been three and a half years ago. I don't know much about the deck and the outdoor shower, but I'm a friend of Mike's. We've known each other for a long time. I was up there, maybe 5 or 6 months ago, taking a look at the property, and Mike and I started to talk about, uncovering a lot of the blocks. There's an old path that goes from the front of the house to the rear of the house, to a shower and to a deck. A lot of those blocks were buried in the sand. So we started uncovering some of the blocks, and a lot of them were deteriorated, a lot of them are cracked and broken. So I said, well, it'd be nice someday to, just go ahead and try to replace the blocks. But it's a nice feature to have the path, so you don't have to walk through the house and track, sand through the house to the back area where the beach is. So as time went on, Mike has done some work to the house, all permitted, interior and exterior work, and he was finishing up, getting ready to finish the project, and I went back to the site, and things were moving and progressing pretty well. And I said, so we started to talk, and I said, well, if you're going to have renters and you're going to have your kids there, maybe we can help you out and just replace some of the concrete blocks, the pathway with some slightly larger stones without disturbing any of the dunes. Through the path is some beach rose and beach plum rose and beach rose, and I said we can probably cut those back. They were all infested with ticks. I said to give you clear access. There was another area by the front door that had concrete blocks there, for people to stamp their feet on. And I said we could probably dress this up. It's not going to do anything to the lot coverage. We can probably replace the pavers, the old concrete block with some pavers. So that's how the job started. I was helping them out. We spent a couple weekends removing the concrete blocks that were in place. We were working around other contractors that were at the house. So we were kind of selective and try to be diligent about, not having a whole lot of disturbance. And during this time, a couple times when it rained real hard, Mike got water in the house. So we decided to at least pipe the gutters, the gutter downspouts, into a dry well. So we tied 2 gutters on the left side of the front of the house and one on the right side of the house. We just brought 10 feet away from the house and let it daylight into into the existing dune. I think I show that on the plan that we sent. And on the left side, we tied the 2 gutters. One was above the door, and a little further to the right, and the other was on the 90-degree left-hand corner. So we piped those 2 gutters together and ran them down the side of the driveway into a big dry well. And the sand that we removed, we displaced with the sand with gravel, and used the sand just along the same the same area, use the sand along the driveway. That was pretty much I'm sorry?
No, I was going to jump in too, because you covered all that. You mentioned how, he wasn't involved in the deck or the shower, and we actually permitted for that. I think this was discussed the last call. It is sort of a disconnect within the town. Just, we pulled the permit for the building, but it wasn't clear that we needed to do something with the building department, that it wasn't clear that we need to do something with conservation as well for the deck. On that, what we did is we did not remove any of the existing columns, piles with the concrete footings that were in the ground. We stripped out the old staircase that was going towards the beach, towards the water. It was a very long, ugly, hazardous staircase that steps had broken, took that off, maintained the same footprint against the house, small deck with a small set of stairs that came off the side. So all the structure underneath it is exactly the same. All we did was strip out the old and then put Trex decking and wrap the columns with AZAC trim boards. And then the shower was replaced with just a clear cedar from Stonewood Wood Products. And that was same footprint, same footings, just take the old pressure treated rotting boards off and put the new one on top. And that was the extent of that work.
Thank you. And I want to thank you for documenting it all in your RDA application. I'm going to see if anybody on the commission has any questions or comments. Nobody? Okay.
This is Greg. I'm sorry.
Greg.
I can't find my hand.
Okay. Well, you can do this.
Okay. Hi. No, I just had a couple questions. Number one, do we understand now that some of the drainage from the roof does not go to a dry well and is just being drained to the surface?
Yes, I don't think there's I don't recall gutters in the back of the house. Mike, you may be clear. The reason we got the gutters, because at least on 2 or 3 occasions, after talking to some of the contractors on site, water was getting into the house, and I said, well, we can pipe the gutters away from the house to get positive drainage, and I tied the 2 on the left side of the house together and just ran it along the side of the driveway and scheduled 40 pipe into a filtered covered hole filled with crushed stone, native crushed stone. And then the one on the right front is the right front. We brought across the existing pathway. We buried it and just kind of daylighted it right there. I can't remember. I think actually we did add a little gravel to that area too. But it's just I think it's about 10 feet of pipe just to get it away from the house with some positive drainage.
Incorrect. There are no dry wells in the back of the house. So all those are just regular.
Okay. And the other question was, can you talk a little bit about the drainage for the shower?
I know I can tell this is a prefab shower that they brought in, and there was probably it's mostly sand. I think there was a top coat of gravel that was there with some concrete block. I think when they removed the old shower, they took the concrete block away. And we did add a dressing of some native stone underneath the deck board so that the base of the shower has like a deck platform, just a removable, just cedar, just a cedar framed deck platform with some gravel underneath.
Yep.
Okay. So there really isn't a dry well under the shower.
No, it's all sand there.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve the after the fact RDA with a positive 2B and a negative 3.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Somebody? Okay. Joanne?
Yes.
Chuck,
yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you all. We appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
We'll be talking to you guys soon. I have to get a permit done for a new septic. I talked to the health department the other day, so sorry, I just chime in on that too. So I'll be submitting another application soon for a new septic system.
Okay, we're going to get to be good friends, are we?
Yes, we are. Thank you. Appreciate
Okay,
your help.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, take care.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Next, we have a continuation of request for determination of applicability filed by Gail Badukian. Applicant proposes to flush cut 23 invasive Japanese pine trees and plant beach grass at property located at 18 Horton Way, map 07, parcel 493A. She's requested a continuation until August 26, 2025. So if somebody could make that motion.
So
Move to
moved.
Continue to August 26, 2025.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Janet,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, next we have certificate of compliance filed by John Mason, SE 19-1897 for the reconstruction of an existing pier, ramp, and float at property located at 20 Cedar Lane, map 21, parcel 059. Who's speaking to this? Is somebody here to speak to this project? Alex, do you know if somebody was going to be here?
My understanding was yes, but I do not see the applicant.
Okay, so how about we just table this and come back to it later?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, so now we have a administrative review filed by the town of Eastham. Applicant proposes to conduct 3 geotechnical borings at property located at 2800 State Highway, map 12, parcel 319. And who's going to speak on this?
Good evening. My name is Gemma Kite. I'm a senior environmental engineer with the Horsley Wayne Group. And I believe my colleague, Amy Ball, senior ecologist, is also on the phone as well. So we are supporting the town of Eastham with the design of stormwater improvements for Salt Pond Landing. And that includes redesigning the bulkhead parking lot retaining wall. We need geotechnical soil information for our design. So we are seeking the commission's approval to conduct 3 soil borings at the site. We are proposing 2 soil borings within the footprint of the existing parking lot, and the other 3rd soil boring is located along the path north of the parking lot, adjacent to the boat racks. And all 3 proposed locations do not disturb the salt marsh or the coastal bank resource areas.
Okay, thank you.
I
Any
will turn it back
questions
over to the
from?
commission for questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the commission? Does not seem like. Okay.
I have one, Karen, just for the just for our awareness. Why 3 boreholes instead of 1 or 2 or 7, or what's the logic behind 3?
Sure. So just the geotechnical engineer would like more information if it's available. So the 2 along the existing bulkhead retaining wall just provides a little bit more information if there is, slightly different conditions in each of the borings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve with this 24-hour notice to the Conservation Department before any work is performed.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have an administrative review filed by Stephen Dalton. Applicant proposes to remove 2 pine trees at property located at 30 Uncle Nate's Way, map 17, parcel 566. And somebody speaking on this? Okay, I don't see anybody here to speak on this. Did we know, Alex, if the applicant was planning to be here?
Our conversation this morning, I believe the applicant was planning on attending tonight. I feel comfortable speaking to this application if the commission's okay with that.
Yeah, I think we're fine with that.
Okay. So the applicant is proposing the removal of 2 pine trees. They are both deceased. We had a conversation with the property owner. If you would be interested in leaving one of the trees for a snag. Our observation of the dead trees indicated that there was actually some pretty advanced decomposition or decay at the base of the trees. So for, I guess, safety reasons, I would make the recommendation to remove both trees completely.
Okay. Any questions from the commission?
I have a question.
Okay, Joanne and then Janet.
Alex, I am all for leaving snags of the 12-foot roosting habitat, as you noted. But if you said the trees are dead and decaying, if they're not diseased, are they? Is there potential if we left a snag that a disease could spread to other trees, or does it seem like that's an okay strategy to take?
I think that the trees are actually. I can't really tell how the trees died. It could have been from, a boar infestation. But the trees were so far deceased that you couldn't really tell. Fungus is growing out of them, so I suspect that the integrity of the trees is probably compromised.
So if they had insects in them, those insects have probably moved on to the next victim already. Okay.
Property owner, had some other snags on the property. They had it looked like an old oak tree that they've left for a snag. So there is roosting habitat nearby. So I think given that, I would make the recommendation to take both of these trees out.
Okay.
Completely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm happy to support whatever you've talked to the owner about. I just wanted to, I don't want to press anyone to leave a snag if it might transmit insects or disease. So thanks for clarification.
Yeah.
Okay, Janet, you had something?
I was going to say some of the things that Alex said. So property owner was very helpful, and we did see a snag that he had, and he had wrapped some metal around the trunk of the tree so the squirrels couldn't get up to build a nest, which I thought was very creative. I may have to do the same myself. So.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like we're ready for a motion to approve with, oh, wait a minute. We didn't discuss mitigation. Was there any proposal for mitigation? I didn't see it in the application. Did you discuss that on site at all?
No mitigation was proposed. The lot is pretty well vegetated. So I think given that the trees are deceased, I don't think mitigation is needed.
Okay. So if we could have a motion to approve with special conditions for tree pruning and removal.
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
Okay. Janet?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. And next is administrative review filed by Kevin Norton. Applicant proposes to remove 3 pine trees at property located at 880 North Sunken Meadow, map 01, parcel 077. And Mr. Norton, if you'd like to just give us a brief overview here.
I'm sorry, can I, well, my client is, we have, many trees that, oh, 3 trees that are, infested with borer and, hanging over the house. They are in a state of decline. They have been for several years. We had a site visit early this morning, and, we are proposing that we take those 3 pines out, and the mitigation would be to replace those trees 1-to-1 with sizable um, uh, red maples to give us some shade in the area, and mitigate and take out the insect infested trees.
And what is sizable?
6 to 7 inch trees, 6 to 7 inch caliper, 35 foot tall trees.
Okay, well, a 35-foot. So what's the survivability of a 35-foot tall tree
Sorry?
going in? And I'm wondering about the survivability of a
The
tree that big.
survivability. Well, I've been doing this 50 years. I'm a horticulturist, and I transplant and handle large trees. So I guarantee that anything that I put in there is going to survive. If it doesn't, it's on me.
Okay. I guess we could put that in the order. Okay. Any questions, comments from the commission? Greg, you were out at the site.
No, I mean
Anything?
the trees look infested. They looked like they had bugs and they didn't look great. No other comments than that.
Okay, Janet?
Yeah, I didn't think to ask this morning, Mr. Norton, when we were there, but you were mentioning red maples. Had you considered any kind of an evergreen tree, since the trees coming down are pines and they'd provide some protection in the winter, whereas a deciduous tree wouldn't provide as much?
So in response to your question, we're looking to get some shade. A few of the people from the commission were out. Alex was out. We're looking for shade in the spring, summertime, and fall. Evergreen trees generally are very low branched. They spread out. They're not going to give you the overhead canopy that we're looking for to give us a little bit of shade in the area. So, you know, I'm a horticulturalist. I have a degree from the University of Mass. I've been doing this a long time. I'm just looking for, and my client is looking for, some shade in the area, overhead canopy, and the trees that I've selected, have already tagged, are going to provide what we would like to have, so that you can walk underneath and have a nice patio with some overhead canopy. Evergreen trees, they're not gonna, they branch out very low and not the right application. Excuse me.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Anything from anybody else? Alex? Anything from you?
No, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay. Do you think we need to put a survivability condition in here? Because we get different stories on big trees going in. They'll survive, they won't survive. What's your thought?
Are you asking me, Karen?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Yeah, I think it wouldn't be bad to, this is I guess a 1-year permit, right? So perhaps, a year after the trees are planted, we can get some follow-up on their well-being.
Okay, so if we could have a motion to approve with our conditions for tree pruning and removal with a 1-year follow-up report on the condition of the trees.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Next, we have an administrative review filed by Jessica Strauss. Applicant proposes to remove stairs and install new stairs at property located at 31 Martha Avenue rear, map 10, parcel 202. Who's here to speak to this?
I am.
Okay. I understand you went ahead and did the work already?
Yes, I did. Just because it was a dangerous issue and renters were coming in.
Okay, but that's not actually how this works. If you needed it done in an emergency, you could have come in and asked Alex for an emergency order.
I tried that. I went to the building department and got an emergency building permit, and I went to conservation, and I was told that we couldn't do it in time. I don't know. Maybe I missed the proper channels to go through. If that's the case, I apologize.
Okay. So that's not how we usually do it. So if you want to just, I guess, run through the work you did do.
Sure. So we took down the existing staircase and installed DP50s, which are precast sonotubes, very little disturbance to the soil, and then rebuilt the staircase out of pressure treated framing and mahogany treads and cedar trim.
Mhm. Okay. So I do have a question about this being an emergency. Was this staircase being used all summer?
Well, it
Up
was
until this
vacant
point?
for a lot of the summer, and they have a big rental season in August, and a family was coming down, and we would try to get it done before they came in.
Okay, so poor planning on their part led to you treating this as an emergency without having received approval.
What, can you repeat the question, please?
So it sounds like poor planning on the part of the property owners led to this, you deciding this needed to be a rush job and went ahead without having a permit in place. So
Yeah, you could say that. I would phrase it as we didn't know it was as serious as a problem as it is until it was kind of late in the season.
mhm. Okay, so all right. So what are any opinions on this from the rest of the commission? Because we could give you a fine for not having done this in the proper order. I'd like to hear from somebody else on the commission. Janet?
Yes. I don't completely understand why he didn't go through, why he didn't consult the Conservation Commission. He says that he didn't exactly know that he had to.
No, I did go to conservation. Maybe a week or two before the date, I went to the building department and to conservation, and I told them it was an emergency, and I was told I had to wait. I'm not sure if there was a miscommunication or not, but I did go to conservation beforehand.
An emergency, I don't think we've ever had a so-called emergency about replacing stairs. We have had about a failed septic system or about water issues. So my understanding is, I thought you spoke with someone and you were told that we were discussing this tonight, and you just put the stairs in a few days ago?
No, this was at least maybe 10 days ago, I would guess. It was at the beginning of August, just before the renters came in.
You knew that, or the homeowner knew that you were on the docket to discuss this tonight?
We had discussed it, yeah.
I'm sorry.
We discussed it, yes.
I find that a little upsetting. I don't know about the other commissioners.
Joanne?
Yeah, I don't like it either. It sounds like we wouldn't want to set a precedent with being super tolerant of this behavior. It also sounds like, though, that there may have been some pressure from the homeowners themselves. So I'm not sure um, where the biggest concern is, whether it's the homeowners kind of telling a contractor to move forward, or whether it's the contractor themselves. So that's my comment. Thanks.
So what's your thought on what we should do here?
I would ask it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, let me just say, I do see stairs as a safety issue. I understand potentially the economic impact of having to cancel with renters that are already lined up. So I'm a little bit torn. I'm not 100% clear on why there wouldn't have been renters earlier in the season. Maybe there's some additional backstory there. I'd love to hear those additional details if you have them. But it does sound like it was that replacing stairs should have been planned further in advance, and not with the pressure of having renters and trying to hurry up and get everything done. So although I don't like to impose fines, I do see this as a potential case for that.
Chuck?
I would feel better if I had seen photos of the stairs prior to the repair so that I understood whether it was actually a real existing safety hazard. Safety hazards need to be dealt with. I agree with Joanne that planning ahead would have been good, but we don't know the circumstances where the folks live off Cape and somebody just came down and looked at it and said, we got to fix this. Or if they've got a rental agent that was involved, I don't know enough about that side of it. I'm not fond of this kind of thing either, but if it was really a safety hazard, then the economic problems coming along with lawsuits from people injuring themselves vastly outweigh any little fine we might impose. I'm not particularly in favor of putting a fine in for this, because apparently he talked to somebody at conservation and they told him there wasn't enough time to get it on the docket. Well, I don't know.
Well,
if it's an emergency thing, then it should have been in the next meeting, right?
A picture of the stairs, which I assume were the ones before the work was done, because they look weathered, was included with the filing. And from this angle, they don't look particularly hazardous.
It looks like the repairs are down at the bottom.
Well, I'm not seeing repairs on the picture that was included with the filing, unless it was reclaimed wood.
No, there are no finished pictures attached. Everything is new.
So what parts were the hazard?
So the parts where the hazard was where the stringers attached to the deck frame.
Unfortunately, you didn't include those pictures. Greg?
Greg, you're muted if you're talking.
I also think this is a serious issue. I do think there seems to have been some communication issues with respect to, how we would review an emergency. It just seems to me that if someone came in and said, we have an emergency, then we would have some type of plan to deal with that. And I think we do, certainly in this situation. But, I'm not, I don't know if this warrants a fine at this point. I think that I think it was it's possibly partially an oversight, but at the same time, it's a serious problem. I don't know. I don't have really an opinion on the fine.
I'm in favor of granting the permit, but giving $100 ticket. $100 fine because it really wasn't handled in the proper way. And I'm not even sure this actually constitutes an emergency under how that is defined for us. Janet?
I
Yeah,
was
okay.
going, I was,
What? I'm sorry.
I was about to suggest a modest fine, and what you suggested was modest. I think we should have some fine.
Dominic, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, my question would be, what should I have done differently?
Waited until we permitted it. That's the procedure. You ask for a permit. We have this meeting. We give a permit, unless it's a public safety hazard, a tree down in the road. You need to replace your septic system immediately, something like that. I'm not sure this actually constitutes an emergency under our definition. But in any case, the proper procedure is you apply for a permit, we have a meeting, and we either give you a permit or we don't.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I would like to apologize because I did not want to go ahead and do this beforehand, but I felt it was important for the safety of the renters.
And who did you talk to at the conservation office?
I don't remember her name, but I did go there and talk to a few people, and I did inquire about this. I can find out for you if you would like.
Well, that would either be Amy or it would be Alex. So I'm not sure what the conversation is, but this is how we do permitting. Janet?
The other thought I had is, if it is an emergency, the agent has authority to deal with it immediately. But it was not presented to him as that. And it doesn't really appear to be the type of emergency that we've called emergencies in the past.
Mm-hmm. Alex, any thoughts here?
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I did speak with Dominic beforehand. I advised him that I wanted this to be on the agenda for this evening's meeting. This was going to be an easy approval for the stairs. We went out there today. The work looks great, Dominic. Like, you do good work. We just wanted to wait for you to start the work before to allow the commission to approve it. So.
Okay, so let's try this in two separate votes. The first one is a motion to approve the work as completed.
I will move to approve the work as completed.
Second.
Is there a second? Okay, Janet?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. And then the second one is if somebody would like to make a motion to issue a $100 fine for the work having been done prior to permitting.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Janet?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. So the work has been permitted and Alex will issue a $100 fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is administrative review filed by David and Eileen Hoffer. Applicant proposes to install an addition and new deck at property located at 175 Turning Brook Road, map 17, parcel 494. Is someone here to speak on this?
Yeah, we have someone in person to speak to this.
Okay.
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is Tavis Babbitt. I did the architectural plans for the proposed deck off the back. And as you might have seen in the package we submitted, at the moment, we didn't have a completed site plan. It's still in the works. So, but looking at the GIS map, you can see that the property is not in a flood zone, and there's only a small portion of the northwest corner that's in the 100-foot buffer of the property. And that's the only thing that would interfere with any sort of wetlands restrictions or requirements. And what we're proposing is a deck that essentially squares off the corner. There's an existing deck that's there, and we're just going to connect it to the corner of the house. There won't be any trees needing to be removed, and it will be on helical piles, 3 piles. And so it's really a second-story deck. And we're also putting an addition over the existing footprint, but that doesn't affect anything on the ground in that sense. So we're just requesting approval to do the work. And again, it's not in any buffer zone. We're outside of the 100-foot buffer zone from any wetlands, and we're not in any flood zone.
So you're in the 100-foot buffer zone to the flood zone, though.
100-foot to the flood zone. The A&E 13
yeah.
foot.
Because if you were outside of all the buffer zones altogether, you wouldn't be here tonight.
Right.
But, right.
Yes.
So is there mitigation being proposed for this? I don't see any.
We had not, just because we weren't altering the ground except for just the 3 piles, and the roof, the deck is impervious. So we would be willing to consider what might be necessary to meet the board's approval. But at this point, we didn't have anything proposed.
So let me see what everybody thinks. And let me start with Greg. You were out there for a site visit.
Yep. Does not appear to be a lot of impact to the surface soil ground area. Again, just 3 pilings. Everything appears to be above the ground on the 2nd floor and above for a deck. So, I mean, a couple of bushes there would be nice in terms of some type of mediation right near the pilings. But other than that, I can't recommend anything else.
Okay. Anything from anybody else? Joanne?
Sorry, maybe I'm challenged with the site plan, but can you just clarify? I'm looking at the pictures and you've got like this screened-in porch or sunroom thing on a concrete slab and then the deck on top. Are you taking out, so are you building across that and then adding the 3 pilings and then going up, and that's the only disturbance? Is that concrete slab and the sunroom staying in place?
Yes, that's an existing structure with the roof deck on it. So only thing we're doing is changing the decking on top of that.
So, but you're extending out a little bit, right?
Yes. So yes, we are.
That's the 3 new pilings.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
great.
there'll be nothing on the ground level underneath there. It would be all open.
Okay. Otherwise, just the 3 pilings, no other disturbance to
Correct.
the ground level. Okay. Thank you for
Exactly.
the clarification.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, you're next, Jack.
Yeah. Looking at the online GIS stuff, the 50 and 100-foot buffer zones are based on banks. It's independent of the FEMA flood zone. And it looks to me like the actual work is outside our jurisdiction. It is, just from looking at it, it's clearly outside of the 100-foot buffer zone around the flood zone, and it's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone for the banks. So I think it's beyond the jurisdiction anyway.
That was my thought, but it was hard to tell because we didn't get the official site plan yet. So, but ruling thumb and kind of using some fuzzy lines, it looked like we're outside of it, but yes.
I'd say go ahead and approve it because of that.
I think we're looking to approve it anyway. I don't see much objection here. Janet?
You mean someone is coming to us to get something approved that they really don't have to come to us for?
Well, I think we're unsure because we haven't seen
Should we give him a $100 reward?
It's a better safe than sorry.
I can accept that fine and put it in my pocket.
Right. So we don't know, but it looks like we were going to approve this project anyway. So why don't we just go ahead and and do that.
Yep. Move we approve.
Move we approve with special conditions for decks and sheds.
Right. What she said.
Thank you. I mean, second.
Okay. Joanne,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay,
Thank you
thank you
all.
so much.
Appreciate your time. Better safe than sorry, as they say.
Yeah, we do appreciate your coming.
Okay.
Next, we have an after-the-fact administrative review filed by Gary Vecchione. Applicant proposes to install a fence at property located at 150 State Highway, map 20, parcel 114. And is the applicant here to speak?
Yeah, right here.
So if you could just identify yourself for the record and then give us an overview of what you're proposing here.
Gary Vecchione. I didn't know that I was going through the proposal. I thought that was done at the last hearing. I don't have the package in front of me, but basically I am offering to retrofit the original fence that was located at 150 Old State Highway with what's called the shadow box fence, where you remove every other, what would you call it? Every other fence post, not post, but
Flat.
fence slat, and put it on the other side so that it has the ability for the water in the unlikely event of a flood event to pass and repass through the fence.
So you are proposing in this several options, it looks like, and I'd like to go through them. And one option you are proposing is to do nothing with the ACEC portion of the fence. So that even though we had asked you to do something with all the parts of the fence, but we'll come back to that in a second. And then you're proposing either to do a hinged fence or a shadow box fence. Now let's go through the hinged fence first, because all you've given us on that is that you've given us a picture of a stockade fence and wrote hinges on it. And then on the plan wrote something about piano hinges swinging both ways. So I'm not clear on how you would plan to install that, or why you think that would have the effect that we've required that water be able to go through this fence. So maybe you could explain that, and then we'll talk about it in a little more detail.
Sure. I guess it's about a 6-foot fence, and there are two 4-inch diameter support pieces on the back side of the fence. So on the unfinished side, which in this case faces away from the property. That's exactly 36 inches high. We talked at past meetings that you wanted 36 inches of area to be able to accept water to pass and repass is a phrase I use. So if we put it on a piano hinge, which swings both ways, you can cut the fence off at 3 feet, put it on a hinge, and then if flood comes along, the water comes in, the water goes out. We still raise it the 6 inches that you wanted. So it's a gate effect, a swing effect.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing anything in your application to show that this would actually work during a storm event. Solid panels seem to me to still be a solid surface.
Well, it's a solid surface, but it swings with the water. And in fact, according to the fellow at the Mass Coastal Flood Agency for Cape Cod and the Islands, there is no such criteria. It doesn't exist.
Okay, but we have told you what we need to permit this in Eastham, which is all right here. And then I'm not understanding, you've not provided anything to show how this actually would work. What are the hinges to be made out of?
Galvanized steel.
Okay, so
Or stainless.
so you've given me nothing to make me think that this actually would allow water to pass as needed and have longevity in that.
I'm not sure why you say that, because when I sent the email, it had at least a half dozen or a dozen pictures, and those pictures were included.
I saw a picture of the fence and it said hinges across it, and I didn't see any diagrams detailing how this would work.
Well, it
Are
works
you
the same
telling me
way
that there was?
I'm sorry, it would work the same way as the door would work in your home. Swings open, it swings closed. If a fence, floodplain event came, the water would swing north to south, or it would swing south to north.
Yeah,
So
I'm
it's
not.
pretty self-explanatory. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Well, I don't think it meets requirements. And then your shadow box fence. Now, shadow box fence seems on the face of it to be an open fence, but it really depends on which angle the water is hitting at it, because if you look at it head on, it's again a solid wall.
Right, but
And
there's a 3-inch gap by having that 3-inch support beam going across the back. So you put one on one side, one on the other, and then you have 3 inches between each panel, so the water can actually flow. Keep in mind that there are no criteria that spell out that this what works or doesn't work. I did meet with Paul Lag, your what do you call it? Your flood administrator. He was temporary flood administrator at the time, and he suggested this. Thought it was a good idea. Looked online what they expect. The FEMA people actually use this idea again as the scuppers. Water comes in a basement, water goes out in a flood event. So this helps do that, because there is no written criteria that says this works or doesn't work, including from your own agency or your own board. This is my best proposal.
Well, a shadow box fence is not appreciably hydrodynamically different than a stockade fence, and the design of it is more prone to accumulate debris and make it even less permeable. So it doesn't.
Even if that were the case, then it could be maintained such that the debris was taken out after a flood event.
Yeah, and I also talked to Paul Lag, who is our floodplain manager, and I believe has always been our floodplain manager. And he asked the question why we are permitting a fence in the velocity zone at all if the purpose is to avoid debris. And that has made me think during the weeks, shall we say. And I'm less of a mind to permit the fence at this point. I don't think the options you offered, meet the requirements we asked you to, and I've had additional time to think over it. And that's where I am. I'm going to open it up to other members of the commission for comments. Anybody?
Well, maybe I can.
Janet?
The shadow box fence to me sounds as if it would not meet the criteria, because if you just had water going through at a low velocity, that would be one thing. But if you have water going through at a high velocity, and if it has material in it and branches and things, they're going to clog it up. It's not going to work. And FEMA's what they recommend for a foundation, we just were at a conference a few months ago where they talked about this. The windows in a foundation, that's completely different from a fence. They're not similar. And FEMA did not talk about such a fence as what you were talking about.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because the conversation I had with Paul Lag was that in a foundation situation, there's hydrostatic pressure, which have a tendency to blow out those walls and create some sort of obstructive way, where this is just two-dimensional, if you will, front and back. It's not going to have a chance to do that. So
if I could interrupt your questions, Janet, for a minute. So you're talking, there's a difference here. For a house, you're talking about hydrostatic pressure. For a fence, you're talking about hydrodynamic pressure. That's two entirely different things.
Well, the thing is, we're talking about a mass area that occurs in a flood event. And if you think to the entire watershed of Town Cove, how many hundreds of docks, hundreds of boats, hundreds of traps, hundreds of other things that displace water. And I would say that if you use a theory of de minimis, that this is the very least disturbance in that area that you could possibly attain. If you're saying there are no fences allowed in any floodplain zone in all of town of Eastham, then I guess you'd make that decision. I'll challenge it in court because I disagree with it. It's not that, you know, you're good people or bad people, but you're not following the science. The science says that, in fact, hydrostatic pressure doesn't build up and it's not going to cause a problem. If you're worried about flotsam and jetsam in the event of a floodplain, then why aren't we worried about boats and docks and pilings and things like that?
Well, we definitely worried about docks as we just implemented some pretty strict dock regulations. And you're again conflating hydrostatic pressure with hydrodynamic pressure. It's two very different things. But Janet, you had some more?
No, I don't really have anything else. I don't agree with what he's suggesting for a fence. It doesn't fit in with what we have permitted in the past. And people do have fences, and they are raised 6 inches off the ground, and they comply with that. And they construct the fence the way we approve of them to construct it.
In sentence 1, paragraph
that-
3 states that I'll raise the fence 6 inches from the ground. You asked for that and I complied.
Right. Greg?
Yeah, I was just checking in to see if so you plan on raising the fence 6 inches from the ground,
Yes.
and that would allow flow of water through both sides without any obstructions.
So I was told that the 6 inches was to release some of that the pressure, also to allow animals to pass and repass. So we're going to lift the entire fence 6 inches. The area that's outside jurisdiction above floodplain, we're going to leave alone. So we start off by raising everything 6 inches, then adding either the shadow box or the swinging gate effect, if you will. And it just seems inherently unfair since there are no criteria, including on a federal level, of how should be addressed, that we should at least give it a chance. I mean, I live on the site. I'm a handyman in town for 2 years. There's no reason that I can't address it in the event that something happens that's untoward. I just think that absent of a hardline criteria that you expect everyone to follow, that this should be given a chance. And if you disagree with that, then I ask you to make a decision on the criteria that you don't believe fits the bill so that I can challenge it in court. I do have the right to do that.
This is great again. I'm just trying to understand it in terms of you're planning on raising the fence 6 inches off the ground, and doesn't that meet our criteria?
You have to ask your chairman on that.
I mean, I thought that at one point we had requested that it be raised 6 inches off the ground, which would allow free flow of materials back and forth. Maybe I'm confused.
Well, we had asked for 6 inches and slatted, but we don't normally permit a lot of fences in the VE zone in any case.
Okay.
And 6 inches off the ground is for wildlife. And then the stockade fence itself would be a solid wall that would likely become debris. So would, I believe, a hinge fence or a shadow box fence.
Well, if you don't like the shadow box fence.
Looking at the science of it.
What if I took there is no science. That's the point. If I took, rather than a shadow box fence, what if I just took every other slat out up to a 3 foot height?
Looking at the hydrodynamics of the fence and water pressure on it is the science.
So if I can
and go ahead.
Yeah, if I can interject, actually, I think we're getting someplace that I was going to raise. Not an engineer, very curious about whether or not the trapdoor idea would work. Would love to have, more details on the construction of that trapdoor, but very simple research about what FEMA requirements are and other flood, flood, let's say, authorities when they comment on fences. It's that generous openings, generous gaps when fences are permitted in velocity zones, generous openings, they use the term generous openings are advisable and preferred. So the idea about removing every other slat, certainly up to a higher level, is moving in the right direction, in my opinion. I do not know what the historical flood levels are for that area, but if we have that data or we know what it is generally, if it's 3 feet, then I think we're getting someplace where we can get to yes. That said, I don't know what the historical flood levels are there, or I don't recall them. We may have discussed it, and I'm not sure. I would love to have more details on the swinging door, if 3 feet is what's appropriate for this particular area, and potentially, some years into the future, because this fence will need to last and adapt as we move into higher water levels.
Sure, that's a really great point. There's 80 feet of linear fence moving east to west from Cottage 6 towards the waterfront. And at the highest height flood zones, we're at 12 feet flood zone, but the land itself is anywhere from 8 to 9. If you average that out, you're going to come with a 3-foot fence. So again, the criteria doesn't exist, but if we go 3 feet right across the entire 80 feet, you're going to accomplish everything that this non-existent criteria is looking for. See, when you ask someone to do something, you ask for mathematical formulas, you have to give them a baseline, and there's no baseline anywhere, and that's not Eastham's fault. It doesn't exist in Cape and the Islands, and it doesn't exist in FEMA. So they use the watershed calculations over the entire watershed, which in this case, Nauset Marsh has been represented as 1,200 acres. You take a mathematical formula of the displacement of that fence, and you don't ask whether trees or flotsam and jetsam get caught inside the slats. You ask, what will the water be displaced? What water will be displaced? So if you take the thickness of the fence, which is about 1.5 inches, and you take those 5 by 5 inch posts, there's 10 posts times 5 inches. 5 by 5 is roughly 1/2 a square foot. You literally have 4 square feet of displacement. So if you take that mathematical formula and equation and match it to the 1,200 acre watershed, which is what you're concerned with. You're not concerned with what happens in the neighborhood or the neighbor. You're concerned with what happens in the entire pond. It's infinitesimal, the disruption, where, again, they use the term of art, de minimis. It's negligible. You can't even measure it. So I'm saying, I live there. Whoever else lives there can be a standing order that you maintain the fence. There is no criteria to match, so we're coming up with something unique. And I think it's unfair that I'm penalized because the criteria doesn't exist. I didn't come here to make trouble. I came here to find out facts. I just think between the combination of raising the fence 6 inches, taking out either every other slat, or making the entire thing movable, just like when the water comes in a boat, the scupper holds it back on one direction, and the water comes out the other way. It's a non-issue. I mean, if you want to make a point and have me be your whipping boy, I understand that. I understand the $100 daily fines, but I can't understand that if the board itself can't come up with a criteria of a target that doesn't move, how am I supposed to do it?
Well, you haven't met the criteria we set in front of you. I don't see a proposal here for a slatted fence. That's what we asked you
Or what?
back in. We asked you to make a slatted fence back in April and in May.
I'm going to have
And
to
you
ask
wouldn't do
Alex.
it.
I'm going to have to ask Alex to do that, because I have an email in my possession that shows 10 or 12 pictures of exactly what I was going to do, and a narrative that it came with it. I apologize for not having that with me. I thought I was just here to answer questions.
Well,
So
that's not in the filing we got.
well, I'd like Alex to answer that. He's seen it. He's been into court over this. The judge, clerk magistrate has been there. Hillary.
What you have in front of you is what the commission has.
Yeah, I know they have that, but is this the package I gave you by email?
This
that
is
showed the
this
pictures
is the
of.
package you submitted through OpenGov. Yes.
No, I didn't ask you that. I sent you an email that had more than these two pictures. More than these three pictures. Where are the rest of the pictures of the fence? So we have pictures here that show hinges on a fence. Yeah, I think this is it. I mean, everything that I presented is pretty self-explanatory. There's one choice of a shadow box fence. There's a second choice on the back page of hinges and where they would go and where I would cut it. The narrative plainly explains that. So I'm really not sure what you're asking for. I mean, I can accommodate you any way you want, but I can't hit a moving target.
So can I go back to the what we were talking before? Would everyone be willing to entertain the fence with the openings in it, the slatted fence with the idea of generous openings in between the slats? Is that something everyone could entertain?
Mm-hmm. That's what we asked for originally. We haven't seen a proposal for that yet.
On the back page, it says.
Not in the filing that was submitted through OpenGov that we have.
Yeah, that filing was filed 5 minutes late. A day or two or a week before that, I sent a package out by email. That's where these pictures come from. So I don't know what information you're looking at. The information I have.
We're looking at the official filing.
Karen, can I say something?
Yes. Yes, go ahead, Amy.
Sorry, I can't find my hand. He did send it. Gary did send an email to Conservation with a bunch of pictures, but I couldn't open them. So I did request him to resend them, and I never received anything. So we could only open so many of those pictures.
Who's saying that?
This is Amy. I'm the.
Oh, hi, Amy.
Hi.
I don't know. Jackie Beebe helped me make deadlines. So I thought that once you received it, it was good. I don't remember seeing an email requesting information. I just live a mile up the street. I certainly could have come down with it.
Well, then you went to Jackie and the information you gave to Jackie. Oh, and that's what I got from Jackie, and that's what the commissioners have.
Well, let's say this. This is an after-fact administrative review, I guess you call it. We can certainly make a decision if the board is up to it of what you would like to see. There's actually just 2 or 3 choices before you, what you would like to see, and then I present the application back to Alex and Hillary in a format that you approve, and we're off and running.
I think we already discussed what we had wanted to see in 2 meetings in April or 1 meeting in April, 2 meetings. No,
all right,
2 meetings in April, 1 meeting in May. And that's not what we have in front of us now.
Here's the thing, Karen, you can either be.
But if that's what you want to file, what we talked about back in April and May, we'd like to see that filing.
I think I have that right in front of you right now.
No, you don't.
So if we have, sorry to interrupt you guys, if we do have pictures of the fence, can we discuss, based on those pictures, removing every other slat since we can see the fence in front of us?
Absolutely,
Just
I can do that.
From a logic perspective, like we know, we can look at the fence picture we have here. We can envision every other slat being moved.
Yeah.
That is a comprehensible, like you can.
It's a compromise. It's a good compromise. And I will say.
You can understand what we're talking about when we talk about it. I think there may be some cleanup on the back end about how it's documented. Karen knows better than I do how that works, but is that somehow, can we proceed on that discussion?
Well, I can say playing devil's advocate that this application is incomplete because there were pictures in here that put in red every other slot being removed. So it's the board's pleasure what they want. I mean, I refuse to, again, throw a dart at a moving target. Tell me which one of these you like. We'll regroup for the next meeting 2 weeks from now, if you allow that, and I'll have all the information you want to be in compliance. It's very simple. It's a fence with, an oscillator that cuts the every other slat out. I can cover that over with some what do you call it? Plantings, some native plantings. I don't see, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm used to working with wetlands bylaws and not oceanfront. So, you know, forgive me for doing something that I don't understand completely. But if it's allowed, I could take every other one and still have every other slat out and fill it in with some kind of a planting that would still give me the look I'm going for. But if you think about it, what sense does it make to put a root system down that now displaces more area? So all I want to do is get an answer from the board how they would like to see this go forward. This application isn't complete because there are many more pictures. The email is in much more depth. And if you want to extend it, fine, but we're all here in the same room. I don't think there's anything more than the three options here. Why not choose one that you're happy with? I'm happy with any of them.
I think we chose one months
Which is
ago.
it? Well, go ahead and spell it out for me. Every time I ask to, you know, I'm 66 years old. I don't understand all this technology. Every time I ask for something to be reiterated to me, I get the, hey, we don't work for you and this board's too busy. And, you know.
It's my understanding that you were at 3 hearings with us, during which time we discussed a fence that would be slatted and 6 inches off the ground all the way along in jurisdiction, which is pretty much the entirety of the property.
It's not the entirety of the property. You have an area that's outside the zone. Just because you have a buffer zone doesn't give you the right to have me move a fence 6 inches if it's at elevation 14 and floodplain elevation is elevation 10. I'm not going to do it just for a whim.
You have to move, if it's within a 100-foot buffer zone to the floodplain, it's in jurisdiction and you have to do it.
Well, I'll challenge it instead. So you can make a decision and we'll go from there.
So you can make a decision that you can put in a fence that we discussed back in April and May, which is slatted and 6 inches off the ground all the way along. And I think we all would approve that. Or you can say, I'm not going to do it. And you can take the fence out as the enforcement order requires. I think that's where I am.
I'm not taking the fence out without every one of you members being in court telling the judge what the criteria is that demands that to be removed. If you have it's one thing to have a floodplain buffer zone. It's another thing to say the science backs up that you're at a floodplain 2 feet higher than the elevation of a floodplain, and we want the holes in the fence. What purpose does that serve?
Excuse me. You have an enforcement order to remove. I'm going to finish this, and then you can talk, Chuck. You have an enforcement order to remove an unpermitted fence. Everything that gets done in the wetland jurisdiction of this commission requires a permit. You don't have one, so you have an enforcement order to remove the fence. That is entirely separate from us deciding whether to permit a fence at this location and what it looks like.
Okay, you make a good point. So do you want to handle this tonight, or do you want Alex and Hillary to go back to court next week or the week after or the month after, and then all you people join them when I challenge it? Do you want to do this now, or do you want to do it then?
Well, we've given you the criteria for a slatted fence multiple times, and you've received copies of the videos of the meetings. You've received the minutes. You've done your 2 public information requests. So you have all of that information.
Okay, so then I'm going to make a request that I follow your directions to the letter, except for the area that's outside the floodplain, because it doesn't serve any purpose.
And we need to see a filing that shows that.
Well, I like Alex's opinion on this because I think I had the filing. I mean, we're waiting for an answer. This is after after the fact administration review. Tell me what you want, and we'll put it in a packet and say I agree. That's what you have lawyers for, town managers for, 2 people, 2 agents. You have 2 support secretaries or administrators in the conservation office. You certainly do. You have 4 people in the conservation office.
We don't. We have Amy. We have Alex.
What about Sam?
That's not our staff.
Department.
Well, she's been. I think she's been.
But that's not the point.
Okay.
We have an application, and you're telling us
clear what they want from this filing.
It's not clear to me. So forgive me for being 66 years old and not being a technophobe, or I am a technophobe. I don't understand some of these things. It's very simple. This is very simple. Tell me what you want and I'll do it. But I'm not going to do it outside the floodplain. It doesn't make sense.
Chuck, go ahead.
Okay, I think the simplest way to say is, this is what we want. Take that fence out, then come back to us with a plan for a different fence. That's it.
I'm not taking
There you
that
go.
fence out with a court or without a court order, and every one of you will be in court to back up that decision.
Actually, our lawyer will be there and we'll be sitting here watching it. So do whatever you want. But that's the situation. You put one in without being permitted. You knew when you were doing it.
That's a lie.
Hey,
The man that put the fence in has been in this town for 35 years. He knew the codes. I didn't. You two agents belonged to my Facebook pages. They saw that going on and they decided to act after it was installed rather than beforehand. So it's
all of
one
this
thing.
back and forth is pointless. You got an enforcement order from us to remove the fence, pull the fence. And you want to talk about putting something else in? Put a plan together, a proper plan that meets the criteria of the plan instead of a bunch of pencil lines on pieces of paper and then photographs of them. Something to scale that an engineer would use and then put it in. And if it meets the criteria that we need, it'll get permitted. I don't know why you didn't just plant a bunch of plants there. You could have avoided all of this by just doing that.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion to deny this project?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, Chuck,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So we've denied your after the fact permit. The enforcement order is still in place. If you want to remove the fence and come back with another properly formatted application, we'll be happy to hear it.
Instead of spending money on fixing the fence or retrofitting it like I should have, I'll spend it on a court instead.
And it's up to you. Okay. I'm going to give us a 2-minute recess if nobody objects.
No, fine with me.
Our 2 minutes are up. Hey, Wayne, I think our 2 minutes are up.
Okay, we'll be coming back in 2 seconds and go. You are on air. You are ready to begin.
We are back. My earpods are connected. Next, we have a continuation of notice of intent filed by Michael Nargi and Carrie Picard. Applicant proposes to demolish the existing dwelling and guest house, construct a new residence, install a plunge pool, construct beach access stairs, a snowdrift fence, propose mitigation and septic system upgrade at property located at 435 Shirtlift Road, map 07, parcel 142A.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commission members. Sean Riley with Ty and Bond, representing Michael and Kerry. They're both online with us tonight, as well as Cole Bateman from Ty and Bond, Ben Zender, the project attorney. We have Rob McPhee, who's with McPhee Associates, the design builder, and Ian Peach from Wilkinson Ecological. We received some good input from the commissioners at our last meeting. The first of which that I will address is the alternatives analysis. We've provided you with revised documents that included essentially an alternatives analysis with all the different options that we looked at over the last year to develop what we have is the chosen alternative that we feel will have the best benefit for the adjacent resource areas. We discussed those alternatives at the last meeting, trying to shift everything outside of the flood zone, consolidate the human use areas, relocate the existing septic system. We also discussed the challenges of trying to fit everything on the higher ground and still maintaining the zoning setbacks that we need to maintain, and to relocate the septic system outside of the as far away as possibly from the resource areas. Some of the other items that the commission members discussed were they wanted the complete removal of the septic system from the flood zone. So you'll see on the revised site plan that we have removed, put a note on to remove that septic system completely from the flood zone. The members also asked if we could take a look at trying to shift everything, including the patio, the house, the driveway, further away from the resource areas, and also to relocate the swimming pool outside of the 50-foot no disturb zone. You'll see on the site plan that we have relocated the pool outside of. Can everybody see my screen all right? We've moved the pool outside of the 50-foot buffer, and we moved it into a disturbed area that has used to be an old parking area with landscape timbers in it. The result of us shifting the house back several feet allowed us to eliminate the proposed landscape wall that we were previously proposing adjacent to the coastal bank. It allowed us to create a greater vegetative buffer along the top of the coastal bank. And we were also able to reduce the coverages within the buffer zone from the previous, which we had an increase of 59 square feet within the 0 to 50. Now we have a net decrease of 177 square feet. And we went from a net reduction of 66 square feet within the 0 to 100 buffer to 145 square feet. So we were able to achieve a greater reduction of coverage throughout the buffer zones, have a greater vegetative buffer along the coastal bank, eliminate the septic from within that flood zone. And the other item that we were asked to look into was the creating a greater biodiversity of plants within our mitigation planting plan. And as you can see, Wilkinson did a great job of introducing 9 sweet fern, 7 black chokeberry, 9 Virginia rose, and they also added in another 14, I believe, bayberry. You can see the extensive planting plan that they have along the southern property line. They've also infilled that area with forbs and shrubs along that southern line. So we think that with all these changes and the benefit of reestablishing the areas adjacent to the dune and the bank, removing the bocce court, the retaining walls, the guest cottage that's down in that lower flood zone area, and really reestablishing that habitat that we have a good project here that meets all the requirements. So with that, I'll just open it up to any other questions you may have.
Okay. Where to start? There's so much. Okay. Just tell me how you said you moved it back from the bank a little bit. So what is the house, or what is the closest area to the coastal bank? What's the closest distance?
Sure.
Now.
The closest distance to the coastal bank now is.
Well, I would include patio in the closest distance.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the closest distance. Yeah, the closest distance to the patio is 5 feet, where before it was 2 feet off of that corner.
Yeah, that's still very much too close to the coastal bank. I think you need to pull the house back further. And we didn't see an alternative analysis that included pulling the house back significantly. I mean, it technically should be feasible. And under our bylaw, that it does require that there be no technically demonstrated feasible alternative to the project with less adverse impact. So we don't generally want to permit something so close to a resource area. And I haven't seen you provide any actual detailed alternatives analysis that show that it's not technically feasible.
The reason why it's not feasible is the relocation of the garage up to the area in where we relocated it is essentially 8 feet above the street level. We went back and we looked at shifting the garage doors and moving the house closer to the street. We can't get the driveway access directly from the street into the garage. So even if we moved the garage closer to the street, we just can't get that garage. The only other alternative would be to leave the garage down within the flood zone to be able to utilize a garage, which the McPhee's Associates has done a real terrific job of trying to consolidate all of this use area into an area that really is limited with available space that is outside of the 50-foot buffer and outside of the existing setbacks that we have to the street. We've got a 30-foot setback to the street and a 25-foot setback to the sidelines that we discussed at the last meeting, that we're really up against it. The further we pull the house back, unfortunately, pushes everything up into the left because we have to maintain the setback from this lower property line, which if we move it back, it doesn't do anything but to move it further up into the 50-foot buffer zone. So we're really not going to achieve moving this house any closer and further away from the resource area. It may be able to move a couple more feet, but it's not going to make any significant difference. And with the reduction of everything that we have within the flood zone now and where we're going is a significant improvement over the existing condition. And I think they've done a really good job of pulling these things further back. And again, here's that setback that we're up against with relocating that building and shifting that building, and then taking the other building and moving that building up and out of the resource area. There really just is no place on this property to pull things
completely out of the 50 or even significantly out of the 50. So, trying to work with what we have for a global area, and they're giving up pretty much 2/3 of this property with what they're proposing with this alternative that they're proposing. So I'm not quite sure how we can show you any other way than we have that we meet the performance standards.
Well, to my view, it's way too close to the coastal bank. You've got this hardscape there around the house, what you're calling pervious paver, and we all know that pervious paver doesn't stay pervious. So you've got you're filling this space with a lot of hardscape right up against the coastal bank and within the 50-foot buffer zone to the resource, and that's not really an acceptable option here. And we have to look at this property as basically two distinct areas, because one is this flood zone coastal dune, and the other one is elevated above that next to a coastal bank and with a number of different 50-foot buffer zones. But you've got almost the entirety of the house within the 50-foot buffer zone, and that's not something that we are permitting these days. We want the house pulled back as far as I'm speaking for myself, but knowing what we've permitted before, we'd want the house pulled back a lot more.
If I can,
and go ahead.
Yeah, this is Ben Zender. I represent Mike and Carrie on this. Look, if this were new construction, I think absolutely. But this is an existing house that's already in this exact same area. The applicant is not only removing one entire structure from the resource area, but they're putting this house where the existing house is, and they're moving it back. So I don't think I can disagree with the member more on this. This is an application where they're constricted by their setback lines, they're constricted by their front lines. They can't do it. So they've already, and at the last meeting, the board asked them to pull it back and to get rid of some structure on the resource side, and they did. So they've already moved it back, but that lot line on the south side requires, the more they move it back, the more they have to move it to the north, and the more they have to move it towards that flood zone. So this is, I have to say, looking at this project at where the existing house is and where the existing barn is that's completely being removed and restored, this is a very good house location. It's extremely, I mean, you can always ask for some work around the edges, which is exactly what the team did after the last meeting. You said, look, move this back as far as you can, and they did. So, and we also have a 30-foot front setback line with a zoning board. So, and we're in front of the planning board where you have to be able to maneuver your cars inside your own property. So I think they've done a wonderful job of managing all these variables and giving you a project that's much better for the resource than what you have right now. Significant replanting, significant mitigation, almost a complete restoration on the north side of this lot. So I think when this is done, what you're looking for is a much better environmental condition than what you have now. So to say that you're not going to allow somebody to be within the 50 when that's the only place you can put your house and where your house has been there for decades, I don't think does it. So, and thank you for hearing me.
Okay, but if you look at our regulations and you look under the definition of reconstruction, we've defined a project where you're tearing the house down as a new project. That any building built after that is a new building and a new project. So we're not beholden to that location under our regulations.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
This is Rob McPhee, and I just wanted to chime in on this real quick. As far as the placement of the structures, when I first met with the owners on the property, we had a lot of discussion on the current home and the current, I'm going to call it the barn with the living quarters above. It's a lot of discussion was had about, do we keep that as a guest house and let that count as one bedroom towards our max 3-bedroom septic, and then do a 2-bedroom home and maybe not have a garage attached to the house. And the decision is to eliminate that barn and move it up, attach it to the house. It'll be better for the resource area, get it out of that flood zone area. But there was a lot of back and forth about just repurpose that structure. We can have storage space below in the flood zone, maintain those large driveways that are down there, and just keep that separate and let that be a structure. But, the thought was for the environment, it would make a lot more sense to get that uphill. And so everyone's really worked hard to try to appease that. And condense this, it is very condensed in that corner. So that I just want to make sure that the commission knows that there's been a lot of thought and discussion early on before we just went and put a house together with an attached garage to it and eliminated that barn. And maybe that's something that should be back and visited on our end, as far as restore the barn and bring it to flood zone compliance and stay down inside the flood zone and mitigation areas and driveways, which we've proposed to eliminate everything. And that current, is right on the bluff. It's right there.
Right, but you are proposing a very large structure in an area with a lot of resources, so that is an issue. And then just moving on from the size of the building, you've got all this hardscaping around it with permeable pavers, and we know that permeable pavers don't stay permeable unless there's a lot of heavy maintenance going on. They have to be cleaned a couple of times a year, and not with a pressure washer, because they lose that permeability. So the DEP treats them as hardscape, and to my mind, they're hardscape there. So that's a lot of hardscape, a lot of impermeable surface right there on top of the coastal bank. So I have an issue with that.
And I think the engineers have done a great job on identifying the existing coverages and the proposed coverages that should be looked at and looked at in fact, rather than, what somebody may believe.
Well, I'm looking at it in fact, and I'm looking at what you're calling a net increase or decrease when we have to look at where particular buildings and features are cited and not just the aggregate area of the whole property, because there's obviously very different resources in different areas of this property.
Madam Chair, maybe it would be helpful to have to look at to have our expert show you the revegetation plan again, because when we were here last time, I thought we were almost where we needed to be with this project. I thought
really.
Well, I think the commission gave us some pretty clear instructions. Get that pool out of the 50, give us some biodiversity in the vegetation, and move the house further away from the resource, which is exactly all the things that we've done. So,
but you didn't move it appreciably back.
Well, again, you can only, right now that house is 36. I think it's 36.3 feet from the property line, the front property line. Zoning only allows you to go 30 feet, but you also have to comply with the planning board requirements of backing and turning areas. We have to be able to turn vehicles around before they come back out. Look, it's not just your board that we're dealing with. So we have to make sure that this project complies with all of this. So again, this restoration project is providing significant, restoration of entire areas of this lot, of the floodplain on the north side of this lot. And the board may remember, this has been before the board before with a different plan. And they listened to the board last time too. They moved everything out of the northwest corner of the property. They've moved everything back to this area. So, it's one thing to say we want you to reduce the scope of this area here or this area here or provide more planning, but to say we can't locate a house in this area because it's the only place we can locate this house is an impossibility.
Well, I'm not saying you can't locate a house in this area. I'm saying you've got too much house too close to the bank, too much hardscape too close to the bank in this area. That's what I'm saying. And then I'll move along to some other discussion and then pass it to other people. So I'm going to go back to the staircase for a minute. It seems like the property owners already have access to beach stairs at the neighbors. There's a pathway that appears to be well used, and they're using the neighbors.
That's incorrect.
Stairs to the beach. That's incorrect.
That's incorrect. We discussed that at the last point. They have been denied access down those stairs from the neighbor due to liability concerns, and that's the reason why they are coming forward with these proposed stairs.
Okay, so I guess that's the alternatives analysis for that. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so I'd like to see something else besides the pavers in that location, and I'd like to see it around the house and the hardscape reduced. And well, you heard pretty much everything else. So let's see what other people have to say. Other comments? I can't really see everybody. So Janet and then Greg.
Yes, I concur very much with the comments Karen has made. I have significant difficulties with the stairway. I am actually wondering if the stairway could be discussed in a separate filing, because I think there are other factors here that make this filing difficult enough to discuss. And I regret that at the last meeting we were at, I did not ask you for dimensions on the house of the garage. And I realized I was hoping they would be on this plan, but they're not. There are no dimensions. And I wonder if some of you also happen to see the article in the Provincetown Independent with the large capital letters of an increase in coverage of 75%. I was curious as to where they got the 75%, but you still haven't supplied dimensions of the garage or the house or the patio. The only thing you've given us dimensions on is a proposed pool, 10 by 14 feet. And also, one issue with the pool is it doesn't just have to be out of the 50, it has to be at least 10 feet beyond the 50, out of the 50. And the way it looks here is it's right up against the 50. Those are my major comments right now. Thank you.
And this is Greg. I'm just wondering, is there an option to the hardscape type of material? Is there a way to put something down that has much more long-standing permeability? Because I think when you look at the big picture here, removing that structure at the dune is a big improvement to the property, and dedicating half the lot to plants and basically just letting it go natural is also a net plus to the lot. I was wondering if it's possible to suggest maybe a different hardscape in the front area that's so close to the bank. I mean, that might be helpful.
We can look at that.
I don't even know if anything exists, but it would seem that that might be helpful here. And a question on the change that you have on your plan, elimination of the wall. What will be there? Is it just going to be a bank? Like is it going to be full of sand, or is it going to be, you're going to replant it, or what does that really mean?
Yep, through the chair, it'll be a fully revegetated bank. It'll be flat, essentially from the patio out to the edge of the bank where it starts to slope down. So Wilkinson, Ian could probably speak better to what would be planted there, but he's calling out a complete revegetation of that area.
But when you say flat, I'm trying to understand it and see it. Right now, there's like an elevated area where it digs into the bank, and there's a wall. So you're going to take the wall out and you're going to grade it back at an angle, or you know what I'm saying? I can't conceive of how that's going to work with the elevation of the bank relative to where the house is now. And I'm thinking, is the patio that's there now similar to the patio that would be there in the next when you build this?
So the replaced patio would be 1 foot higher so that we could meet the existing grade.
Okay.
And we can look into a different alternative for, if that is a real concern, for pervious surface, either a deck or and permeable pavers with the sand in this area. Permeable pavers with a good crushed stone base are a really good option for maintaining permeability. There shouldn't be a lot of run on to this area. It's high enough in elevation that things should slope away, and there shouldn't be water sloping onto the patio. The roof runoff would be directed to gutters, downspouts, and dry wells. So really, it's just dealing with the rainwater that's coming from the sky down onto that patio. So I don't see an issue with runoff coming from the patio and creating any issues.
Yeah, I think that when you look at this, you do see a lot of hardscape really close to the bank, and that's a big concern for people.
Right. And there, just to remind everyone that it is there now, and we are actually pulling it back from where it is.
Yep. Okay.
And well, reducing it.
Yep.
I had a quick question. This is Ben through the chair, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I heard one of the members comment about having to maintain a 10-foot setback from the 50-foot line for the pool. I didn't see that in the regulations. Maybe I'm missing that. You know, Alex might know where that is. As I read the pool regulations, there are two sets of there are different standards. You absolutely prohibit pools within the 50, and then within the 50 to 100, there's a set of performance standards for the pool, which I believe we meet. So I didn't see a requirement in your bylaw to set back the pool 10 feet from your 50. I think there's a setback requirement generally from the property line under zoning for the pool, but we comply with that.
Correct. That's 12 feet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna pull them up.
Yeah, we'll look at that.
Yes. Okay. Any questions, Joanne?
I actually will say I think the only concern I have, so first of all, I appreciate that the septic's being removed. There's a lot of planting for mitigation. There's a reduction in the size of the patio and deck area. I appreciate all of that. I'm actually feeling pretty good about this project myself. I think the hardscape issue is a genuine one, and I will just reiterate my interest in potentially reducing or eliminating the additional driveway and parking area. I think that, for me at least, that would go a long way in reducing the amount of hardscape on the property itself overall, making me a lot more comfortable with the way the plans around the house are. That is not a deal breaker for me, but it is something I think that would be a good idea in reducing the amount of hardscape overall. That's all. Thanks.
Yeah, through the chair, just to address the issue that the member just raised about the additional parking area. Mike and Carrie have looked at that. There's a couple things that happens. One is they keep a boat in the off season stored on the property. And the second is, as you're aware, this is right next to the beach. And Shirtlift Road is not a road where you can park your cars on. You can't do it. And so even by the driveway that they've got doesn't leave a lot of room for cars. So I think we can look at maybe trying to reduce the size of that. We're obviously going to keep it permeable. I think it's existing gravel, so it does handle the recharge pretty well, but we'll look at that as well for the member.
Okay. And I'm just going to come back to the 10 feet around the pool question. If you look at our regulation 5.2, it says no pool shall be constructed with any 0 to 50-foot buffer zone. Pool construction shall have a maximum 10-foot wide work zone around the pool proper with no encroachment into the 0 to 50 buffer zone.
Okay, thank you.
So I think that's what Janet was referring to.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm not sure whether this actually meets that requirement or not, because you haven't given us distances that are easy to kind of tease out from that. Okay, so Chuck, anything from you?
I was a little confused by the conversation Greg was having. So I guess I should just make it clear that you guys are not going to be allowed to shave off the top of that bank and make it flat. There's a retaining wall there, and there's bank elevation above the retaining wall. And you're not going to be able to just plow that down flat. That's not going to be allowed. If you want to put the stairs in with structures that go over it, I'm okay with that myself. Still think you ought to consider a retractable aluminum or steel stairwell at the bottom instead of trying to monkey around with all that stuff and anchoring it to the revetment, but that's your call. I'm personally fine with the house where it is. The hardscape, I agree, is a problem because with as much sand and stuff blows around, little pores fill up. I think in many circumstances in the past, we've asked people to make sure that they put in paving stones or flagstone or something like that, that there's a ½ inch or 2/3 inch gap between them with some pea gravel or something that fills so that water doesn't accumulate on the surface, so there's no slipping hazard, but it also drains out pretty much uniformly around the hard area. And I think a mix of wood or some kind of material in combination with hardscape would go down a lot better with a lot of the throats on the commission. I would caution about decks made with AZEK and stuff like that. You get an awful lot of sun there. You don't have any trees. That stuff gets hot underfoot, a lot hotter than wood does. So it's just my own personal recommendation. And last, we keep talking about a plunge pool, and I'm not sure exactly what everybody wants, but if you look closely at the regulations, you'll see that a 3-foot deep, 6-foot wide, 10-foot long or less container above the surface of 1,500 gallons of water or less does not qualify as a pool within the meaning of that regulation, nor do hot tubs. So if you want something where you can look out over the water and make everybody happy too, you might consider things in that context. And those are my comments.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
The commissioners, one of the questions just poked a question on my end I wanted to run back by is, where there's a lot of focus on the hardscape on the rear of the property, what is the feedback from the commission if some of that was more of a flush deck with gravel below, where rainwater just fell through the boards, such as an epay, rather than trying to find a permeable paver set on sand and a bed of gravel? Does that
I would
sway opinions?
Well, let's ask. I think it's still too close to the coastal bank, but that is better than the hardscape. Well, let's ask Janet.
I know, I agree with you, Karen. I am still concerned about it. There's so much of it.
Joanne?
It does sound like a better option to me. It's not going to dissuade me from continuing to press for at least some reduction in that additional driveway area, but definitely a good idea in my opinion.
Chuck? You're the one who recommended something like that, so I think you'd be in favor.
The area is already developed, right? I mean, we're complaining about wood deck, but there's already a wood deck there. So the area is expanded, and I think that is worthy of some consideration in and of itself. But I already said, yeah, you're right. I mean, other than that, I've said my piece. So there you go.
Greg?
Yeah, that sounds like an improvement to me. I mean, right now, if you look at what's already there, I think there's pavers there, and this doesn't look like they're very permeable. But so I think that would be that would respond to that particular issue of drainage. I still have a question about the connection between the deck and the bank, and I was wondering if it would be possible to get just a diagram or something. I think it's an important issue in terms of how that deck elevation is going to interact with the current bank, because the bank seems like it's a couple feet from when I was there. And I'm not sure how you can go from 1 foot higher, and get it to blend into the bank without altering the bank. Would that be possible?
Through the chair, yes, we can provide a cross section back through the bank and through the house that'll show the elevations of the existing bank relative to what we're proposing. Absolutely.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so let me ask Alex, anything from you?
One thing I did notice during our site visit, I think the flags for the coastal dune delineation might be either misplaced or missing. Could those be replaced?
Sure. They should be very recent though.
I think were they the blue flags, if I recall, from the first visit?
I'm not sure of the color. I know that they were just placed there within the last 3 months.
Okay.
So we can refresh
There
those.
might have been some vegetation management that had recently happened, and I think they might have been cut off.
I'd like to remind everybody that the coastal dune is restricted to the far northwest part of the property. Everything above the revetment is not coastal dune.
Right.
All right. So, are you clear on what we're looking for? And if you wouldn't mind just running it back through us to make sure you've got everything.
So we have a reevaluation of the size and material for the patios on the water side of the house. Still would like to take a look at any potential of shifting the house further or reduction of the house. We'd like to take a look at the existing lower driveway, if there's any potential to reduce that size of that driveway, to provide a cross section through the bank to show how the new surface will connect with the top of that slope with the new vegetation that's going on that connects to the stair. Refresh the flags for the dune, and the other was to confirm or review the 10-foot work zone around the pool area to make sure that the pool conforms with the bylaw in that 10-foot disturb zone.
Right. I think that matches my list. Does it match yours, Alex?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So it looks like we're going to need a continuation. And what kind of time do you think you're going to need for this? Our
What's the
next meeting is the 26th of August, and after that, the 9th of September.
Just looking. Looks like through the chair, Janet has a question or a comment.
Oh,
while I'm looking.
Okay, Janet.
Yes, I would like to request that the dimensions of the house and the garage, etc., be put on the plan.
Right, we missed it. We missed that. I apologize.
I believe that we not submit the house plans that had the dimensions of the structure.
We could certainly just provide a separate set of house plans, I think, that are fully dimensioned, if that might be, if that's okay
Yeah.
with the board. We'll provide the floor plans that show.
Would that work? Would that work, Janet? Because, yeah, okay.
We're happy to
Yeah,
do that.
you did not include them with the filing, so.
We'll do that.
Okay, thank you. That was good. Okay, so
The 26th is 2 weeks, so we would need revised plans by next Tuesday. Is that correct? 1 week before the hearing?
Correct.
Alex?
Yeah. Yes, that'd be next Tuesday, the 19th.
McPhee team, do you think that we could continue to that hearing, and if for some reason we couldn't pull it together by next week, we could ask for a continuance to the 9th?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so if we could have a motion to continue to August 26th.
Motion to continue to move until August 26th.
And is there a second?
Second.
Chuck?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Thank you. We'll hopefully see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for your time.
Okay. Lost my agenda again. Too much paper, right? Okay, so
339 Dyer Prince is next.
all right, I found the agenda. I have many copies of it around. Continuation of notice of intent filed by Cape Holden Realty Trust. Applicant proposes to construct a new family dwelling at property located at 339 Dire Prince Road, map 19, parcel 111. And they have requested a continuance to August 26th, 2025. If we might have a motion to that.
Move to continue to August 26, 2025.
And somebody can second?
Second.
Okay, Joanne,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, and then we're going to jump back up to see if we can hear the certificate of compliance filed by John Mason, SE 19-1897, for the reconstruction of an existing pier, ramp, and float at property located at 20 Cedar Lane, map 21, parcel 059. And is somebody here to talk on that? It does not look like it. Does it? Okay. Guess not. Okay, so I guess we should continue. Alex?
Yeah, I was thinking I could either speak to this one or we can continue it to the next meeting.
Well, I think the discussion was going to be just around the shellfish mitigation.
Correct.
Okay.
At the site visit, the pier looked great. I mean, it was clearly done as built as permitted. If the commission recalls, we did condition shellfish mitigation for this project. And that was going to be in a donation to the Natural Resource Department of 50,000 quahog seed. The town purchases their seed later in the year. So that's either late fall or early winter. And so the town won't know the price of the seed until then. And so we could either, I guess, do this tonight or at the next meeting. My request or my recommendation to the commission would be to issue a partial certificate of compliance until the mitigation has been completed, and then we can formally close out the project completely.
So I thought it was interesting in their filing that they gave us photos, but they didn't give us any photos of the landward side of the project and where the ramp, the end of the ramp on the landward side. Did you guys take a look at that when you were out there?
I did, because I recall, this coming up in conversation in the past. The ramp is elevated. It is on, maybe Greg, you could speak to this too if you noticed it. It's not resting on the ground, I'll put it that way. There is a lip of some sort that the ramp is resting on, so that it is elevated off the ground.
Okay. That was my question. Nope. Okay, does anybody have anything else they need to know about this before we have a motion? Okay, so we were looking at the shellfish mitigation, and we were also, sorry, I lost my notes. It's been a night. Yeah, so, okay, so we were looking at the shellfish mitigation, and I think that was it. Okay, so if we could have a motion for a partial certificate of compliance for SE 19-1897 with the shellfish mitigation to be completed in the fall or winter as per the Natural Resources Department.
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Janet?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, so I think that is our hearing agenda, unless I missed anything else. Nope. Okay, so then we have minutes for July 8th, 2025 and July 22nd, 2025.
Karen.
Are there any? Yes.
Sorry. Did you discuss that Dire Prince is continued?
Oh,
Did I miss
did
that?
I think we voted to continue it.
We voted to, I'm pretty sure we voted to continue it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we
And
did.
then I went, and then I went back to almost the top of the agenda
Okay.
to
Thank you.
go. But don't ask me those questions because I'm just running in a linear mode tonight, and if I miss something, it's gone. No, I don't know. Okay, so we need a motion to approve the minutes unless somebody has any comments, changes. I
Move
don't
to
see any.
approve the minutes.
And a second?
Second,
Okay, Chuck,
yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. And then, okay, any violation updates, Alex?
No violation updates. Nope.
Liaison reports. I have nothing new from the last time. Forest Committee hasn't met yet, and I think CPA hasn't met either. So we are there. Education and training. Just wanted to remind everybody that the One Cape Summit is coming up in September on the 16th and 17th. It did send out a list of speakers today, which is kind of interesting. If anybody's interested, I'll be happy to forward the list to you. But if you want to register, please let Amy know. And you can go to one day or both days. So just putting that out there. Other discussion. So at our last meeting, we got into the Forest Committee appointment discussion, and I completely forgot to call the CPA Committee reappointment of Janet. So we're doing that tonight. So I nominate Janet to serve another term on the CPA as our rep. We need a second.
Second.
Okay. So Janet?
I'm happy to continue, but if someone else would really like to do it, I don't have an issue with that.
I think we just needed you to say yes. We're voting.
Yes.
Okay. Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. And then Alex is going to give us a little bit of a update on the administrative review approvals that he's been doing for us.
Yeah, so I've done a couple administrative review approvals in-house. When it comes, several have been tree removals, and these are for hazardous or diseased trees. I guess what I want to convey to the commission is that more times than not, I do condition mitigation for this work. And I've been conditioning that mitigation to happen in the fall, just to have less stress on the native plantings. So what I plan on doing is probably in the October or November timeline is to follow up with the handful of approved tree removal ARs, and have a conversation with those property owners to ensure that the mitigation is happening. We've had maybe a handful of waterline connections. Maybe Amy can speak to that one as well. The waterline connections have kind of quieted down a bit. I know since last year we were getting quite a few of those requests. We haven't really gotten many waterline connection requests. Thinking back to the sheds as well, we haven't had too many shed requests. So as far as the staff approval of ARs, it really has come down to the hazardous tree removals, which there's been a couple.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so I was in front of the select board 2 weeks ago to talk about our recruiting needs. I don't know if any of you watched that. And then there was an article in the Independent about that. And since then, we've had 2 applications, and we're doing interviews tomorrow. Alex and I met with Kayla, who's the town's communication specialist, for lack of a better word, and she's going to be producing some recruitment ads for us as well, putting them on Facebook, the town news blast, and putting them in front of the young professionals, Cape Cod Young Professional, and some other locations. to see if we can recruit some people with some more wetlands experience for us. And certainly it would be helpful to have a list of people who might be willing to serve if we need to fill other seats in the future. So I just wanted to give you an update on that.
And if I may add an update to that as well, Karen.
Yeah.
I know through our conversation with Kayla, we also want to make it easier for people to find volunteer opportunities on the town website. Currently, it's buried pretty deeply on the website, and we haven't come to a decision, I guess, what that looks like. But going forward, we want to make it easier for people to find those opportunities on the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Kayla's going to do some drafts and get them back to Alex and I to look at. So I think we're making some progress here. Okay, that's all I've got. Anybody have anything else they want to share with us tonight?
Did we discuss One Cape?
I did mention it, yeah.
You did? Okay, great.
And I probably should just mail you guys the list of speakers because it's an interesting list and it might encourage you to want to go. But if you don't go, they will have the videos available later.
Yeah. I don't recall if there's a deadline to register, but I recommend if you are interested to, contact either Amy or I sooner rather than later.
They always do wind up with a wait list. So sooner rather than later. Yeah. Last year, they definitely had a wait list. So there's that. Okay. So I'm going to say thank you, everybody. Great job tonight. And we need a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Motion to adjourn.
And is there a second?
Second.
Chuck?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Janet?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. And thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. Good night,
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.